it became what I believe the best 4 words in all of sport, because
Absolutely.
it wasn't calling a soccer goal. It wasn't calling a home run in a baseball game. It wasn't calling a touchdown. It was an individual accomplishment
Yeah.
for just that person. And that's what the finish line is at an Ironman. It's a place where people heal, where they cope with loss. They get to prove to themselves that they're somebody they didn't think they could be. I go, listen, we've only got control over one thing and one thing only today, our attitude. I think if we keep that positive, you'll find your finish line, because everything else around us, we got no control over. It's going to keep coming. It's going to be bad. But if you keep your attitude positive and keep thinking about the finish line, you'll get there.
Welcome back to this week's episode of the Toughest Finish Line podcast with me, Jen Doan. This week, we are talking to someone who may be familiar to some of you. He has helped so many athletes cross some of the world's toughest finish lines, and the genuine support that he has showed to so many is truly inspirational. So welcome to the podcast, Mike Reilly. Mike, thank you so much for being here today. I feel a bit starstruck by you, if I'm honest. Because if you're anything in the Ironman world, people will know your voice and they will know your name probably. But I'm going to start by being a little bit cheeky, if that's okay. Because
by the way, I love that word, cheeky. I love that. I don't hear that enough here in the States.
Oh, well, yes, I'm going to be a little bit cheeky if that's all right. Because for those listeners who aren't necessarily in the Ironman world, I was wondering whether you would do a little bit of a demonstration of the phrase that you have made world famous. But I've completed 5 Ironmans now, and I never got to have you call me across the line. I've had the incredible Joanne Murphy every time, and I love Joanne. I think she's absolutely brilliant. She does a fantastic job.
She's fantastic.
She is. But I was wondering whether, to show the listeners who don't know the Ironman world, whether you would mind calling me across the line, demonstrating that phrase using my full name of Jennifer Doan. Would that be okay?
Let's do this, Jennifer. I usually don't do this because I have always, it's the sacred 4 words for the finish line.
Yeah.
And, going out and just saying it and saying it, I never wanted to lessen what those words mean by just somebody wanting to hear it, at the airport or at the pool or wherever I'm at.
Absolutely.
But I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's go through this interview, and that's how I'll send you off at the end of the show. How's that?
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
Okay.
So you created the world famous phrase of "you are an Ironman," which anybody who's training to come across the finish line often think about that phrase. And I know coaching athletes now, they say to me, I want to hear those words of "you are an Ironman." Shall we start with, where did that phrase come from? Where did it start?
Well, it's not like I sat around in my first few years on the microphone and said, what can I say? What I need a signature. I need a stamp. That's not me. I never thought of that. So I announced Kona as the assistant announcer in 1989 and 90. In 91, I was working with somebody else, but was more of a lead announcer. We both were kind of leads that year in 91. And I had a friend there at the race. And I met him on the street. He was from San Diego, and I used to do some runs with him. And he goes, Reilly, I'm nervous. I don't know if I'm going to have a good day on Saturday. I go, what do you mean? You did the race last year. You did good. He goes, yeah, but my training wasn't that good. And I just don't. He was making up all these excuses, and it really wasn't like him. And
Right.
his name was Dan, and I said, Dan, don't worry. You're going to do it. You're going to be an Ironman. And then the day before the race, I saw him checking in his bike. Right away, he goes, yeah, I know, Reilly. You tried to pump me up. You tried to give me energy, a good attitude and all that stuff. Yeah. I said, don't worry. I'll see you tomorrow. You'll be an Ironman. And that was it. And then race day came, and back in 91, there wasn't a lot of communication of where people were on the course. I had to rely on spotters, and it was all manual, so to speak. So I never really knew where Dan was at. I didn't see him come out of the water. I didn't see him get off the bike. You're so busy. But then all of
Mhm.
a sudden, I'm looking down a Lee Drive from the tower at the finish line, and I see him. The other announcer was on the microphone. I go, "Hey, I got this one. I got this one." All right. So here he comes, and I yell out, "Dan, here you come. All right, buddy. Dan Trone from San Diego, everybody." And he looked up and pointed at me, and I pointed down at him, and I said, "Dan, you are an Iron Man." And I said it almost to like, "Ha ha, I told you so, dude. You
Yeah.
you you're gonna do the race. You did. You are an Iron Man." Well, he waved and had a big smile on his face, and it felt good to say that. But then the next thing that happened, I did not expect. The crowd, this huge roar, and they're pointing at Dan, and I'm going, "What the hell? They don't know who Dan is. It's not like he's just won the race." And it kind of caught me off guard. But then I go, "Oh, all right, the next person's coming." I brought that person in. I yell out their name, where they were from. I said, "You are an Iron Man."
Oh,
Almost like
wow.
number two. Here
Yeah.
we go. And it just started happening. And then 5 minutes later, a woman's coming in. And I'm going, all right. Oh,
Course.
geez. Iron Woman, Iron Man. I mean, I'm just throwing it back and forth in my head, going, when you're live, you never want to say something incorrect.
Yeah.
But these things had never been said before. And it just, I thought to myself, well, it's an Iron Man race. They're an Iron Man. And I called her out and called her an Iron Man, and she waved to me in a smile. And I'm thinking, oh, thank God. Okay. That worked out okay. And it's funny, the other announcer that day, when I said, "Hey, yell it, they want to," no, I don't say that. Okay. So when I got on the mic, I'm going, say it.
Oh,
And then it just became what I believe the best four words in all of sport, because
absolutely.
it wasn't calling a soccer goal. It wasn't calling a home run in a baseball game. It wasn't calling a touchdown. It was an individual accomplishment
Yeah.
for just that person.
Mhm.
Sure, the masses would hear it, especially when the internet came in and people at home were hearing it. But it was a call for someone who just overcame great odds to get to the start line, let alone the finish line. So that's why people, yeah, that's the greatest four words there is in sport. And when somebody first told me that, I go, what? And
Yeah.
in reality, it probably is, just because it's for you, Jennifer. It's
Mhm.
for your friends that finish. It's for people that finish that were told they couldn't do it.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. And in just 4 words can have such an impact on an athlete's. My husband still says it when I'm having my wobbles at the start line. He's like, Jen, you are an Ironman. You can do this. And I'm like, okay, yeah, it gets you psyched up. And it does. It gives people that motivation in training, and just hearing those four words is amazing. So, yeah, I mean, so how you've been an Ironman race announcer for a number of years. How did you first get into the announcing?
I started announcing events in San Diego, running events, and I was hurt. I had a bad hamstring. I showed up at a 10K because a bunch of buddies were running, and the race took off. And the race director said, "What are you doing?" I go, "I got a bad hammy. I can't run." And she goes, "You know what? I got this microphone and this like big speaker thing. It was a megaphone speaker, one of the old style speakers. And I was just going to say their names because I got a printout here of the people in the race. And it was only like 300. And I looked, and she goes, "Why don't you do it?" And I go, "All right." And first thing I thought, Jen, was, "Oh, great. I get to crank some of my buddies coming in like, hey, you should have run faster. You know, next time, train for the race, for God's sakes, And that's what kind of hit. I said, "Sure, I'll do it." And I started calling people as they're coming in, the winner, and calling their names and looking at this sheet. And some of the reactions people would go, "Yeah, thank you. Oh my gosh." Yeah. And I'd say things like, "You look fantastic," or "Congratulations," whatever big adjectives I could think of, because I thought that, that'd be cool if somebody said that about me when I was finishing a race.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to project it to them. And after it was done, people were coming up, "Oh my God, Riley, thanks for calling me out and saying my name. And oh my gosh, it was so cool." And I'm thinking, wow, this is kind of this is kind of cool. I mean,
Mm,
I get to do and give to somebody what I'd like to hear at a race. I wasn't It wasn't about me, it was about them, and
Yeah.
I kinda like that, and it
Yeah.
just kinda grew from there. People would ask me, "Hey, come on, how's my race?" I go, "I'm running it. I'm already entered in it. I've been training for the damn thing, a half marathon, I wanna I wanna run it. I'm really?" And then the one respect, "I'll give you some money." I go, "What? How much? You're gonna give me some
Ooh.
money to do that?" And then it just kinda grew from there.
Wow, just a chance conversation, how it can
Yeah.
completely change your life, isn't it? And yeah,
It's crazy.
things have completely turned for the rest of your career, really. And so, an Ironman finish line. We are on the Toughest Finish Line podcast here. We are all about turning something that's a challenge, something that people have been through, horrific events, but how they've turned that into an amazing finish line. And the Ironman finish line is something that, having experienced it myself, is next to none. My family say the atmosphere, the vibes of it. How would you describe an Ironman finish line to somebody who hasn't experienced it yet?
It's life. An Ironman finish line is not only the finish line, it's the start, it's the journey, it's the preparation, it's overcoming the things you need to overcome every day on a daily basis. It masks life. And sometimes when I say, they go, "What are you talking about? It's a race." I go, "Well, what's life? It's a race. Every day we try to find our finish line. We try to be a better human, have better relationships, talk nicer to people, improve our life, stay healthy. And Ironman is that journey that people they get to prove something, not to others, but to themselves.
Yeah,
And that's the biggest proof you can give yourself is to make sure that you are one, taking care of yourself, setting those big goals and seeing if you can achieve them.
yeah,
Because in all my years, I never saw or felt a sad soul at the finish line.
no,
Think about that. Called
yeah,
almost 500,000 people to finish. I've never seen sadness. There's sadness in life, but we have to overcome it. And when we do, we're much happier. And that's what the finish line is at an Ironman. It's a place where people heal.
yeah,
It's a place where they cope with loss. It's a
mhm,
place where they get to prove to themselves that they're somebody they didn't think they could be. Because a lot of times, it's sad, but a lot of times people around you, friends or family, say, you tell them what you're going to do and you're setting a goal to do an Ironman. They go, what are you, crazy? Well, why would you do that? Why would you, and that negative talk can get to you.
yeah,
But, you're not only proving them wrong and you don't want to prove them wrong. You want to prove yourself right. This is right for me.
yeah.
So when someone asks me what an Ironman finish line is about, I usually say you got about 10 minutes because it's not about just crossing it.
No,
It's
yeah.
that's the greatest moment, crossing it, but it's not just about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why I wanted to ask that question, because it is such a big part of people's journey. And as you say, so many people have been through challenges and horrific things and loss and trauma and everything, and it all just comes to that point on that finish line of it's the icing on the cake, really, of their whole journey, isn't it?
Mhm, mhm.
So you're as a race announcer, it doesn't just start with the finish line. And I've been reading your book, which I've got right here, Mike Reilly,
Oh, thank
Finding
you
My
very
Voice.
much.
A quick plug for
Sweet.
you there.
Uh-huh.
And I think I see it on race day, just how hard race announcers work. You're there from super early in the morning till the last person standing on that finish line. Could you talk us through what a day looks like for you on an Ironman day?
Well, for me and for the other ones that are doing them right now, I'm an early riser guy, so I'd be up by 3:30, get a little something to eat, take a look at my notes, make sure I had everything. If it was a weather day coming along, packing up, you had to be a pack rat, packing all your gear, whether it's wet gear and all that stuff. And then I'd always go down to the site about 4:30, uh, because I would see some of the workers doing their thing, and they're all friends. We're all roadies, and talk to them and kind of get the energy and the vibe of how it was setting everything up. And then start seeing athletes come in, and it's so, especially in Kona and other words, New Zealand was one, and Ironman Lake Placid. It is so quiet. You can hear just footsteps of everybody
Hmm.
trying to, coming to transition, checking in their gear. And
Yeah.
the talk is very low and subdued. So when I got on the microphone for the first time, usually it was about five or just after five when we'd open up transition. Uh, I just talk as if I was in the moment with them.
Yeah.
I'd be subdued and good morning. Oh my gosh, I think we're going to have an incredible day. And I know you've been thinking about this day for a long time, and it's going to come your way, and you get to take it.
Hmm.
This is your day. And a lot of times I'm saying that for myself too, to keep myself pumped up and everybody working the event, the volunteers,
Yeah.
the roadies that go to event after event. Uh, and because I always felt that all the way to the time that we started this swim, if you could set a great tone, that's how it would proceed through the rest of the day. If
Right.
you could keep the swim calm, everybody calm going into the water, that's how they would proceed the rest of the day. Because everybody's nervous as hell anyway.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that morning is something that you can cherish. And then the swim would go on. A lot of them now are 2-lap swim, bringing them out of the water and seeing their names pop up on the computer and saying their name. And they got their goggles on. They don't know where the heck I'm at or the voice is coming from. All they do is go like that, and then they get back in the water. And it's just something else. And then bring everybody out. And then staying there, I always stayed right to that final swimmer and trying to get them out, at that 2 hour and 20-minute cutoff.
Right.
And those were some of the hardest conversations that race directors would have to have of saying to the person coming out, sorry, you missed the cutoff by 4 minutes or by
Hmm.
2 minutes or whatever it may be. And the disbelief on their face and the goal they had set. And all I could say to as they're walking away, you know what? You got 2.4 miles done. There's going to be another day for you. And they go, thanks, Mike. And so they would just, you wanted to, you just wanted to take care of them.
Mm.
Their family and friends always take care of them, but they needed to be taken care of at that point.
Yeah.
Then the day would progress. I'd have a hot corner on the bike. I'd see them ripping in. Crowds are now getting bigger. I love that time of day. And I never really took breaks. Breaks would rest my voice. It wouldn't come back as strong. I felt like I would get weaker. So I'm a
Wow.
standing guy. I never sat at an Ironman. I stand all day. If I sat, it's tying my shoes or whatever, fixing some clothing items. But I just, because you project much better when you're standing, the diaphragm pushes the air out so you don't lose your voice as much as some others may do. And then you'd get to that finish line and bring in if there was a pro race, you'd bring in the pros and everybody go crazy. And every time I look at the times, Jennifer and I go, oh my God, that was so damn fast. Here I am, part of the sport. I'm still enamored by
No.
that dude just rode 4 hours and 2 minutes. Oh my gosh, and ran whatever. And then, uh, and then about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, the crowds would kind of dissipate a little bit because I know what they were going to get something to eat. Maybe
Hmm.
their loved one had already come in. And when I see them start moving, I go, hey, everybody, go get yourself something to eat, put your feet up and stuff, but come back at 9 and come back for those final 2 or 3 hours
Yeah.
and see some passion you never experienced before in your life. So there'd be that little lull at some of the races. Others would just keep cranking. Uh, and then all of a sudden that 9 o'clock hour would come and then 10 o'clock. And then I'd go down in the finish chute and bring everybody in individually, waving there it is over there, my towel, famous towel that I had two of
Yeah.
them. One of them we auctioned off after I retired, and I couldn't believe what this dude paid for this towel. He framed it and put it in his workout room. And
Wow.
I had it in signed, embroidered, and everything. But I'm keeping my final one. I'm not
Yeah.
letting go of that. And then the final ones would come in, and I know where they were all at by that
Mhm.
time, and whether or not everybody was going to make it, and the crowd, I would always challenge them. hey, if you go home with sore hands and sore voices, that's a lot less than what these athletes are putting up with. If you go
True.
home so tired you can't even stand, good. Keep at it because they're out there working hard and it's all about them. And I'd see guys and get veins in their neck. Yeah, yeah. And they just keep going. And I wouldn't, I wasn't one to say, hey, applause louder or yell louder. I never told them to do that. I'm not a director. I would just say, God, can you imagine if you were doing an Ironman and nobody was yelling for you? And all of a sudden they go, yeah, So it's just some of the things I did over the years and learned about working an audience. And then, bringing in the final winner, as I called them, and others now I hear them say, here comes the final winner. Uh, it was always such a highlight. And to be down there and greet them and bring them in, and it's so loud and everybody's just going insane. It can't be duplicated.
No.
And people ask me what I miss, and obviously I miss that.
Yeah.
I miss the athletes, I miss working with the people, but I miss that. I probably won't ever be involved in a situation where it's like that for me again. And I'm okay with that, but I got to do it for 33 years.
Wow. I've been wearing Luca's cycling kit for around a year now, and it's genuinely benefited my training so much. Luca is a premium women's cycling wear brand created by women for women. Born from the frustration of ill-fitting gear and the outdated shrink it and pink it approach, Luca is here to set a new standard. For performance, for design, and for women, their pieces are made to move with you. Crafted in Portugal from high-performance Italian fabrics, tested by a community of female cyclists, and worn by GB athletes like Sian Rainsley. It's more than cycling wear. It's a movement towards empowerment, confidence, and redefining what women's sportswear should be. I've personally found Luca kit to be unbelievably comfortable, and particularly on those longer rides. But also, it looks amazing and is super functional. It really does motivate me to get out on my bike. As a listener of this podcast, you can use my code ToughestFinishLine to get a little something off your first order at rideluca.com. Wow. I mean, it's just amazing. Yeah, that finish line. I mean, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it, like
Right.
experiencing that. And, as I said, for family and friends who are there, how grateful they are for having that experience themselves and watching it and being part of that camaraderie and excitement at the end is next to none. So, yeah, it's thank you for all you have done in terms of building up that atmosphere. And I know definitely watching clips of the golden hours, the final hours on YouTube and stuff of races now, it's still that legacy lives on of that moment being iconic and such a great time. And I know, that's the race day, which is enough in itself. I mean, how you
Yeah.
keep the energy, you must be exhausted after it. But when I was reading your book, something that really stood out to me was just how much thought and how much you do care about each individual athlete, like you say. And is it right you would read through the names of everybody before the race a number of times? Is that right?
4 or 5 times. I'd usually get that database a few weeks before the race. I'd have it on my other screen, and every once in a while I go, "Oh, look at that story, alright." Or I'd say, "Look at that name. I don't know if I can pronounce that." I would email the athlete, "Can you give it to me phonetically?" And then I,
Wow.
"Okay, okay, I got it now." And it just it wasn't memorization, but when it would come up on race day, I've already read it. And I'm
Hmm.
an avid reader, and I usually always remember what I read. And if I'd read a name, something would hit. Oh my God, there's a story to her. And then I'd bring it up. Oh yeah, she did this. She overcame this, and I don't know. It just to go in blind. Proper planning prevents poor performance. and
Yeah.
and when you're live, they can forgive you, but they won't. You know, they they're not gonna. They're always gonna remember what you said, and
Hmm.
so mispronouncing names was always something I didn't want to do. And not saying I didn't mispronounce names,
No.
but people would come up and go, Mike, they and sheepishly be, My dude, thank you, but you mispronounced my name. I go, "Oh god, I'm sorry." I go, "Did I mispronounce the 4 words after your name?" "Oh, no, dude. Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah." So he goes, "That's more important."
Yeah,
So, yeah,
absolutely.
I would do a lot of preparation. I'm just that kind of person.
Yeah, but I think that's what makes you such a iconic announcer, really, because the effort, and you can clearly see that in your book, that you got to know all the athletes so well. You would go over and above to help families and to know the athletes as well. So I think you can be forgiven. I mean, do you know how many names you've called across the line?
Well, my son tried to it's short of a 500,000.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, a lot.
So I
A
think you could
lot
be
of it.
forgiven for making a few mistakes there, Mike.
Yeah, okay, forgive me, you know?
But the other thing, there was a story in your book that, again, I think shows how much you care about and cared about what you were doing, was a bit of an accident that happened to you personally during a race, which led to broken bones. Would you be happy to talk about what happened there and how you tried to keep going?
Yeah, that was a challenging day to say the least. The women's winner had just come in. I interviewed her, uh, down at the finish line, and then some age groupers were coming in. There was an age group guy coming in about 2 minutes, so I had to get back up in the tower, and at that time, that's when we had the towers were 6, 7 foot in the air. What is that? 12 meters, up in the air. And so I had a pair of binoculars in my left hand and my notebook, and I started climbing up the scaffold. And at the top, there was kind of a banner thing, and I thought it was connected to the rail behind it, and I went like that to grab it, and there was nothing. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at the sky, and my God, my life flashed in front of me. I thought of my kids. I thought of my grandkids, and like a what 1 second fall. So I fell and landed on my back and on the cement, and didn't know if I could move. Uh, Melinda Downey from BCC was right there, the sound crew, and grabbing me. And I go, "Ah, yeah, can you move?" Yeah. So that was, so I got up, and it hurt like hell. But I said, "Can we? Can I announce from the ground?" So
Mm.
they set something up. So I started announcing, but every time I breathe in, I go, this is not working. I mean, I can take some pain, but it was like every time I would talk, a knife would go in my lower back. So reluctantly, I said, "You got to go to the hospital." So I went. Long story short, they said, "Well, we don't see any break. Da da da. Why don't you go? You can go back." So they wrapped me up, and I went back. I tried announcing again, and I didn't get back to the till like 9 o'clock at night. I started announcing again for like 20 minutes. I go, I am, and they had me on drugs. And I was hurting so bad. I go, "Oh my gosh." I get, "Guys, sorry, I can't do this." So they took me up in my room. And then the next morning, I was in bed, the phone rang, and it was the University of Wisconsin Medical Center in Madison, where I was at, Ironman, Wisconsin. And they said, "Mike, you need to get back in here. We did find a break." I'm going, "Are you shitting me?" So I crawled into the shower and took a hot shower, and then somebody came and got me and took me back. Uh, so it was, yeah, that was kind of tough. But, after that many Ironmans, I guess I deserve one fall. I'm just glad I'm here laughing and talking about it.
Well, absolutely, because those towers they're high up. They are
Well,
high.
after that, all the towers in the world came down. Iron Man said, "No more. There'll be
Oh,
a two-step stage," and that's what they are. They took Riley got rid of the towers, which I
right.
loved because the view and seeing the athletes was so advantageous to be able to pick them out, and down at kind of ground level, you're going, so it was a little more difficult, but
Yeah.
I understood the decision.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, and just the fact that you've been to the hospital and you're still coming back and trying to announce is just shows your passion for it and how much you kind of were wanting to support those athletes coming across the line. So yeah, it's incredible. And on the toughest finish line, we do share the stories, as I said, of people who have been through incredibly tough situations or challenges in life. So we've had about trauma and suicide, and your book, I think, matched, which is why I contacted you, because I was like, this is the definition really of this podcast, and wanting to support other people and inspire other people. And there's so many stories in your book about people who have had cancer or they've had dramatic weight loss, and that's been their reasons for coming through. And there's so many inspiring stories in there. So I would recommend it to anybody to go and read that book for some inspiration. Um, but from you as an announcer and getting to know those people, has there been some takeaways that you've taken about how they've kept going and what's got them through each day that potentially could help the listeners who might be listening to this podcast?
My initial reaction was always, God, I don't know if I could do that.
Mm.
I don't know if could overcome what they overcame. You start questioning how strong you are. Like, God, I feel for, man, I don't know if I could do that. And I think that's a natural response
Of
from a
course.
lot of us. But then as I got to know them better or see the story or know what they were going through, I always kept in mind that, you know what, hopefully they're going to be able to heal. I mean, you can't do it for someone, and they've got to find their own path. You can
Mhm.
try to lay down the groundwork or help them out or say a few things, but it's really up to them.
Yeah.
So it always affected me in a big way, and that's the Jen. That's the biggest reason I wrote the book. I felt I would see these stories and go, oh my God. And Ironman's a great sport and everything, but we're not on national news every night. So people really don't know the breadth of the stories from this sport. The world
Absolutely.
really doesn't know. So I just felt like I'd be selfish if I didn't share some of those stories. I go, they affected me. They helped improve my life. They taught me lessons. And I thought if I told those stories, somebody could take away. I didn't want to write the book to say, you should do this, you should do that. Listen to me. It was a book I wanted to build around the stories and let them get out of the story what they will, because everybody's going through different things during different times of their lives. So you can't preach one thing and think it's going to be for everybody. It's not. So that's what those stories did to me. They made me a better human, uh, a person who doesn't make excuses. I if I start playing the woe is me card, like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this and nothing's happening and things aren't good, and I pull out of that pretty quick because I was surrounded with so many incredible humans, and it's funny. I would at the award ceremony, not all of them, I would tell everybody, I go, you know what? If this room was an indication and could be spread out throughout the world, we'd have no war,
Yeah.
because I've never seen any animosity or enmity at the finish line, no matter how many 75 countries there. It's all one shared belief of getting to that finish line. So those people inspired me to be a better human. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was one thing that I remember reading was how you said a lot of it is about mindsets. And that's one thing, things you took away from it is that you could go into a downward spiral of saying, my life's awful, but it's how you switch your mindset and actually focusing on those positives and talking yourself out of it can have a huge impact. And yeah, that was definitely something I was learning for me, and I've stopped myself when I'm having a bad day or whatever and I'm like, oh, this is tough. Like, I'm like, no, there are people who are going through really tough things in the world, and it's we can keep going. It's all about that mindset, isn't it?
Hmm. It is. Yeah, it was at Ironman, Wisconsin one morning. I woke up and, oh my gosh, it was raining like you wouldn't believe. I thought I was in the UK. No, that's a joke. No, I thought I was in
Hey.
Ireland. I thought I was in Ireland, and it was coming down, and I go, "Oh my gosh," and I looked at the forecast, and this is what it said. It called for 17 hours of rain. I go, "Holy shit, that's the race. What are you kidding me? How did somebody do that as a joke?" 17. So we go out there and it is coming down. I'm in transition, all the gear on, telling athletes, don't put as much PSI in your tires. It's wet, all this stuff that we do. And then I got down to the swim start. Athletes started lining up, forming up. And I just kept hearing all this negative talk. Oh my gosh, how am I going to get through the day? An athlete here. Then I heard one of the workers for the race going, "Oh my God, this day's crap." And everybody was a downer. And I'm standing there on just on it's just kind of, I stood on this rock and I'm up a little bit. And athletes now are getting in the water. And I say, "Hey, everybody, hey." It was like became a dad preaching. I go, "Listen, we've only got control over one thing and one thing only today, our attitude. I think if we keep that positive, you'll find your finish line because everything else around us, we got no control over. It's going to keep coming. It's
Yeah.
going to be bad. But if you keep your attitude positive and keep thinking about the finish line, you'll get there." And I said that not only for me,
Yeah.
for the workers, for the athletes, and a roar came up from the water. "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And races after that, I'd have athletes come up and go, "Mike, say what you said to us in Wisconsin. Say that. That really," and I go, "Okay." And that was really a spur of the moment thing because of what I was surrounded by at that time. And I needed to pull myself out of the dumps. I needed to pull everybody else out of the dumps
Yeah.
because it would have been a very long, miserable day if everybody went out with a bad attitude.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. You do seem to always know the right things to say. Like when I've watched races that you've been at, it's the right words to help encourage those athletes, and it turns out to bring them out of that negative attitude is, yeah, you've got a definite way with words there, Mike, for sure.
Well, I
um,
appreciate that.
and
Sometimes I'll say something and people who are close to me, Dave Downey from the sound crew and stuff, they go, "Where did that come from?" I go, "I don't know. I don't know where that came from." He goes, "That was good." Okay. And then you keep moving on, because the day progresses. So I sometimes don't know where it comes from a place. I think it comes from a place because it's for someone else.
yeah.
It's for the others. And I think it's easier to say those things when it's for somebody else.
Yeah, for sure. And have you ever had it that people have come and said, like, "Thanks for saying this, Mike," and you're thinking, I don't remember saying that," because it comes out in the moment and then you're on to the next athlete?
Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes I'll say something at the finish line or wherever during race day, and everybody starts laughing, and I'll go, I didn't think that was that funny. What the hell was so funny about that?" And then if I tried to make a joke, I would fall on my face. So I learned early on, you're not a comedian.
No,
Maybe people would come up and go, "That was funny," but you're not. You can't just spill out the funny stuff. If you try to do that, you're going to fall flat in your face. We're not, you know, great comedians out there. But I would make people would laugh, and if I saw something funny, I go, "That is," and then I tell everybody what it was, and they'd all laugh. It was only me saying, "Look at that, that's pretty cool." And, "Oh my God, that's pretty funny," and everybody would laugh about it. So uh, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know where it comes from, John. I just don't.
well, it's a sign of a true natural and a true pro at what they do. The fact that it just comes. So, and just touching on the funny side of things, because I was watching there was a video that Paul Kay actually shared about a guy in Italy who danced the finish line. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's Iron
Yeah,
Man
I
have
saw that.
shared it, and he's dancing. Is there a finish line that you remember that was one of the funniest moments in your career?
Oh yeah, I've had quite a few. One was Ironman Arizona, and I could see up the finish chute, maybe 80 meters or so. They come around a corner, and no athletes were coming in. Sometimes you get 10 at a time, and nobody would come for a minute. Just how it worked out in the later hours. So nobody was coming, and all of a sudden I'm looking and I see something coming around the corner. I go, "What is oh my god, it's a dog." And this
Oh,
dog hit the red carpet and started running up. As soon as I saw it, I go, "Well, I guess it's better to have 4 legs than 2. You get here quicker." And then people look, they started laughing. I go, "That's a doggone good run." I just started throwing and everybody started cheering for this dog, and this dog is, like, looking left and looking right at the crowd, like, "Yeah." I'm going, "This is crazy. He looks like he knows what the heck is going on here." He may have. So he came through the finisher chute, and I said, "Hey, put a medal on that thing." And, they put a medal on him and held the dog, and when they took the medal off, the dog just took off running. We never saw it again.
no
So I
way.
yeah, yeah. I go, "That
Wow,
is."
that dog, I wonder if the owners know that their dog had the claim to fame.
It was like, I don't know, it was dark. It was 8, 9 at night. Who knows? It could have been a stray. I don't know. But he knew he was on that red carpet looking proud.
Oh, this is the thing with Ironman, isn't it? Is expect the unexpected. You never know what's around the corner at all.
No,
So
I don't. I did have one guy come in and, I knew what he was going to do. I don't know. I just sensed he was coming in. He was kind of turning his backside to the finish line and he had his hands on his hips. And I go, "You got this guy is going to moon everybody. I just know he's going to pull his drawers down." And so he starts coming around. He gets about 10 feet from the finish line. He stops. He's about ready to turn. I go, "If you do that, you will be disqualified for life." And I almost yelled it out like, "If you do that, you're going to be disqualified for life." Like, I'm not kidding around here. Not like I could do that to the guy or we
no.
but I had, there's kids along the finish line and guy's gonna, turn around and show us everything. And he stopped, he looked at me, and I just went like that. He turned around and he jogged on in. I go, "Oh my God, thank God I didn't need him doing that." Because people would have taken pictures, it would have been all over the
Can you
place. And
imagine?
I know. And I knew as soon as he started, I go, "Oh my God, I know what that guy's gonna do." So I just thought about I gotta stop him.
But again, it's your quick thinking there, Mike, of saying the exact right thing at the exact right time to stop that situation and
Yeah.
protect all those children and everybody from seeing that.
And I didn't say it's funny, I don't know why I said it. I coulda just said, "You're gonna be disqualified." I said, "You're gonna be disqualified for life." And that's what he looked on, "Oh, shit, that's a long time." So,
I mean, that's a big fear, that is.
yeah.
The power you have over that finish line, Mike, is amazing. And so you've retired from, sadly, very sadly, from Ironman. So what are you doing now with your life? Because you're not just sitting and putting your feet up, are you?
People ask me what I'm doing, I go, "I do whatever I want at whatever time of day I want."
I love
So,
that.
uh, if it's a little cool morning here in San Diego, n sometimes it is in the winter, I'll go ride my bike at noon. Uh I'm writing my second book, and so I'm doing a lot of writing. I am working with TriDot Training on
Mhm.
their chief motivational officer, helping them with their coaching lessons and clinics and all that good stuff. It's a great company. And then I've got 3 grandsons that are here in San Diego, so I'm with them as much as we can,
Oh,
playing with them and all that good stuff. But yeah, the second book is gonna be called, Finding Your Finish Line. It's as simple as that, and I built it out into 10 lessons of finding your why, finding your purpose, finding your tribe, finding your peace, and I'll tell stories. There'll be stories in there, but there'll be a lot of what I believe the lessons that should be learned from it, lessons I've seen, and especially just trying to start something.
yeah,
Not only in it's more of a book for the masses than it is athletes. It's a great book for athletes, but it's for someone just trying to, start something new in their life and they're afraid.
yeah,
What can you do to get past that? Eh, because I think when we don't start something, the excuses start flowing. I'm too old. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time, yada, yada, yada. So
mhm,
this book really addresses a lot of that stuff because I think if people start something big in their life, they're going to finish. They're going to
yeah.
finish. And even like Brian Alvashon, who, God bless his soul, he's from Michigan. I watched him DNF at his first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth Ironman.
Wow.
And he just kept missing by minutes or be over by, half hour. And finally he showed up at Ironman Mont Tremblant. And in every race, he'd go, I'm going to do it this time, Mike. I go, I know you are. I'll be waiting for you. I'll be there. Oh, yeah. Okay. And there he came. I got spotters letting me know that Brian was close. And I'm looking at my watch, trying to do math and calculation in your head because you don't know if they're going to slow down. I go, he's going to be close, everybody. That's all you could say.
Mm,
And he came in underneath the cutoff, and the crowd knew about it. I had set them all up, and the roar was one of the probably top 5 roars I've ever heard in my life when
wow.
he finished. So he set that huge goal to get to the start line, didn't make excuses, never made excuses that he didn't finish, didn't need to. He just went back out and did it again and again and again and again, and he finally got there.
Wow. It's so inspiring. It's
I don't
just
know.
those types of stories. And as you say, and that's part of the reason I started this podcast, because there's so many stories like that that can help other people who might be in that rut. And so, yeah, the fact that you're doing another book, when is that coming out, Mike?
It'll be out next year. I can read you a little excerpt. What I did at the end of every chapter, it's called the aid stations. Uh, I gave 3 tidbits. One of them here: you're never really fully ready. Start anyway. Waiting for the perfect time to start something big is like waiting for the wind to die down in Hawaii on the Ironman World Championship course. It's never going to happen. The key is to act despite uncertainty. We all feel it, and that's okay. But don't let it stop you from beginning. On Ironman race mornings, all I carried with me was uncertainty. Would my words be enough to guide and inspire the athletes chasing their dream? Could I keep the energy alive for 17 hours? Would I stumble? Would I say the wrong thing? Would I lose my voice? But as I greeted athletes in those dark pre-dawn hours, the doubt started to fade. Confidence replaced it. All it took was the first word, the first step, the first positive thought. That's how it is in sport and in life. We're all out here trying to take first steps. And I've never met anyone on the race course or beyond who regretted theirs. So the book's going to be, I'm writing what I'm feeling after I read some of the stories, and I have the stories in here. And it's lessons we all know, but we forget or we don't
Yeah.
practice on a daily basis. So I want this to be a reminder, 10 lessons to live by.
I love that. And one of my
Thank
final
you.
questions to you was going to be, what advice would you give? And you've just given it in in that paragraph there. And that is so inspiring. And it's just taking that step and having the courage to do it, isn't it? And
Yeah,
thank you
it is.
so much for sharing that. I mean, hot off the press there with the book coming out. And so next year it will be out.
Yeah, I don't know. I self-published my first book, so I pushed that out as soon as I got done with it. This one's probably I'm trying to go the publisher route. They always have a longer lead time,
Mhm.
uh, so I don't know until I get that all through the publisher process.
Oh, well, I will definitely be looking out for it because I mean, just hearing that snippet there, it's so inspiring. And
Yeah,
yeah,
the book sales of my first book in the UK were very good.
yeah.
It ran the USA, the UK, uh, and then what was the other country? Oh, France. And I didn't translate the book, but you know, people read English.
Yeah, yeah, and I loved it. I couldn't put it back down on holiday, and I kept saying, stopping my husband and being like, "You never guessed this story and this story," and it's so inspiring hearing how people have come through. So thank you for sharing them,
You
and
got it. Are you ready
thank
for Kona, Jennifer? Huh?
as ready as you'll ever be. So I'm still in the UK at the moment. It's I fly out Tuesday, so it's very late. But my little girl is staying in the UK, so it was
Oh, okay.
how we could do that. But I'm as ready as I ever been, and I just want to go and enjoy it and soak it all up, and it just take the inspiration from everybody around me.
Just always remember, the early part of the day is the good part of the day to see things and do things. And then the afternoon, when the heat index goes up, get off your feet and get in the air conditioning. And
Okay.
if you do that every day, your energy level will stay a little higher than if you went out in the afternoon and did those things. And
Yeah.
I know there's some afternoon functions and things like that, but if you can try to get stuff done in the morning and put your feet up in the
Okay.
afternoon.
Thank you for all the tips. I'm learning so much this podcast, so thank you for that. I'm just going to close on one question that I'm just interested in asking in terms of when you look back at your career, what are you most proud of?
Oh, wow. That I had a deep, deep passion for what I was doing, and I never called it work.
Yeah.
People would say, I'd like to have your job. I go, I don't have a job. I have something inside of me that I'm doing that makes me as happy, hopefully, as others. So that's what I'm proud of. I'm proud that I never got complacent, and I'm proud that every race I did, I wanted to be at a higher level than the one before. I never wanted to be the same. I wanted to try to create more of an energy, and because
Yeah.
I think if you stay the same, you're walking backwards. So that's what I'm most proud of.
I love that. And it just shows how much passion you had in your career, how many people's lives you have touched and inspired. And it's not just a race announcer. There's so much more behind it. So Mike, thank you so much for your time today. I don't want to hold
I
you up
I
anymore,
owe you
but
I owe you something, don't I, Jennifer? Yeah. All right. All right. I got it. Here it comes. Are you ready?
I
Jennifer
think
Doan, you are an Iron Man.
oh Mike, thank you. I feel like my Ironman life has been made. Thank you so much.
Well, g good luck to you in Kona. I
Thank
wish
you.
you aloha nui loa, aloha
Thank
with love, and, I know the Queen Kahumano and all the winds are gonna be good for you. So,
thank you.
good luck.
Thank you so much. Oh, what a treat it was to have Mike Reilly on the podcast. Such a genuine and caring guy who gave so much to the athletes that he helped cross that finish line. His book is available called Finding My Voice, and it has so many really, really inspiring stories in it. So I would definitely recommend getting a copy if you can do. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back soon.